Okay, door, hinges, rollers, security mounted, no missing nuts or bolts. Windows, clean, not cracked, not missing. Rubber seals are intact and not leaking. Stairwell, clear of any hazards, no sign of loose or worn threads. Stairwell lights, interior and exterior lights are secured and operational. Handrail secured, no missing nuts or bolts and no sharp edges. Wheelchair lift, secure and operational. Okay. Okay, this bus is equipped with an automatic transmission, and the bus must be in neutral before starting. I have my low oil light and my voltmeter light. They should extinguish when my engine is started, and my coolant temperature light should remain off. At this time I will start my engine. Okay, my voltmeter light and my low oil light has extinguished, and my coolant temperature light remain off. Next thing I'm going to check is my gauges. My voltmeter should read between 24 and 28 volts. Right now it's at 28 volts. My oil pressure gauge, which is located in the engine compartment, if I had one on my bus, it should indicate 8 to 12 psi when idling and 40 to 60 when in operation. My coolant temperature light, located here, it should indicate between 180 and 205 degrees. At this time, because I just started my bus, it's running about 100 degrees. Next, I'm going to check my turn signals, my left turn signal, my right turn signal, my four-way flashers, and my high beam indicator. Next, I'm going to check my windshield wipers, left side, right side, and my washer. Next, I'll check my heater and my defroster. My windshield is clean, rubber seals are intact with no leaks. There are no cracks, illegal stickers, or other obstructions. My horn is operational. My interior and exterior mirrors are clean with no cracks and are properly adjusted. Brackets are not damaged and mounted securely with no loose nuts or bolts. Okay, driver's seat belt. Secured to the seat, properly adjusted. There are no cuts, frays, and when I buckle the belt, it locks. We have spare fuses that are required for each different amperage, and our spare fuses are located behind this panel. Okay. Our fire extinguisher and reflective triangles are located here. Our fire extinguisher should be properly charged. It should be an ABC fire extinguisher, and the annual inspection tag should be up to date. Our reflective triangles, there should be 3 present, no leaks of sand from the base, and they all should be operational. We have three different types of emergency escapes. We have two doors, front and back. We have three roof hatches, front, middle, and rear. And we have windows on both sides of the bus. All escapes need to be marked with labels and instructions as well as locations. To operate the front window, I would break the glass, turn the lever up, and push the door open. To operate the back door, I would use the hammer to break the glass, pull the lever, push the door open. Windows with red handles, I would pull the lever down and I would push the window out. Roof hatches, I would pull the black tab and push the window out. If none of these windows are marked with instructions or if instructions are missing, I would note it on my VCR. Get back in my seat. I'll operate my front door. My front door should open and close within 5 seconds. It's operational. Next, I will check my back door. My back door should open and close within 5 seconds. It's operational. And I will check the rear door area the same way that I check the front. Next, I will check my passenger seats, securely mounted to the bus, no missing nuts or bolts, and there are no sharp edges on the seat. I'll check my grab bars, stanchion bars, all secure, no missing or broken fasteners, and there are no sharp edges. Okay, the next test I'm going to perform is my parking brake test. To do this test, I'll apply my service brake and put my bus in gear. I will accelerate slightly and my bus should not move. My bus did not move. That means this test is operational. The next test I'm going to perform is my 1-minute air loss test. I shouldn't lose more than 3 psi in a 1 minute. To perform this test, I need to be sure that I'm at maximum air pressure of 100 to 125 psi. To be sure I'm at maximum air pressure, I'm going to release my parking brake and fan off my air brake below 90 so my air compressor kicks in. I'm going to let air pressure build to maximum cutout. At this time, I'm at maximum cutout. Maximum air pressure is at primary and secondary needles, 121 psi. To perform my 1-minute air loss test, I'm going to turn off my engine and apply my service brake. My primary and secondary reading is now at 103 psi. My 1 minute starts now. I shouldn't lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute. My 1 minute is up. My primary and secondary needle still reads 103 psi. I did not lose more than 3 psi in this 1 minute. This test is operational. The next test I'm going to perform is my low air warning light and buzzer test. To do this test, I'm going to turn on my ignition, start my engine, and my low and fan off air pressure. My low air warning light and buzzer should activate by 60 psi. My low air warning light and buzzer activated. Primary at 67 psi, secondary at 69 psi. This test is operational. The last test I'm going to perform is my spring brake test. To do this test, I will continue to fan off air pressure, and my spring brake should activate between 40 and 20 psi. My spring brake has activated. Primary and secondary needle are at 38 psi. This test is operational. Okay, after my spring brake test, I'm going to start my bus to build up air pressure. And I will remove the wheel chock. The next test I'm going to perform is my service brake test. This procedure is designed to determine that the brakes are working correctly and the vehicle does not pull to one side or the other. You're to ask the examiner if he wants you to perform it or explain it. I will explain the test. To perform this test, I will apply my service brake, place my bus in drive, and release my parking brake. I will move forward at 5 miles an hour and apply my service brake and stop. I will check to see that the vehicle does not pull to the left or the right and that it stops when the brakes are applied. I will then place my bus back into neutral and activate the parking brake. If you are doing the pre-trip A test, at this time I will turn my steering wheel all the way to the left while the engine is running, and then I will turn off my engine. Clearance lights, identification lights, our turn signals and four-way flashers, reflectors, and side markers. Securely mounted with no missing or broken screws. Lenses are clean, not cracked or missing. The proper color is amber and they are operational. Headlights, low beam and high beam, securely mounted with no missing or broken screws. Lenses are clean, not cracked or missing. The proper color is clear and they are operational. Windshield wipers, securely mounted with proper tension and no missing nuts. Blades are not worn or damaged. They also have the proper tension. Exterior mirrors, brackets are mounted securely with no loose nuts or bolts and they are not damaged. Mirrors are cleaned, not cracked or damaged, and they are properly adjusted. with door control handle. Open side door under driver's window to show the examiner the steering box area. Steering box and hoses securely mounted with no cracks, dents, or damages. No missing nuts, bolts, or cotter pins. Hoses not cracked, frayed, or kinked. No fluid leaks from pump or hoses. It's properly lubricated. Door and hinges properly secured to the body with no missing nuts or bolts. Closed compartment door. Steering linkage. Connecting linkage arms from steering box to wheel and connecting tie rods are not worn or cracked. Ball joints and sockets are not worn or loose. No missing nuts, bolts, and cotter pins. I'm checking the torque arms. Torque arms are located here, securely mounted with no cracks, dents, or damages. Shock absorbers located in the same area, securely mounted to the frame and axle, not cracked, broken, missing, loose, damaged, or leaking hydraulic fluid. Our bellows, which is located next to our shock absorbers. The suspension of this vehicle is equipped with air bellows and should be checked for damage or leaks. The bellows are securely mounted to the frame and axle. Our splash guard is securely mounted with no missing or broken screws. The splash guard must cover at least half of the tire, and if the splash guard is missing, we will advise the examiner and mark it on our VCR. Brake hoses and lines. Couplings, hose, and lines are secure, not cracked, worn, or leaking. Brake chambers are mounted securely, not cracked, dented, or leaking. Push rods and slack adjusters mounted securely, not cracked, broken, missing, loose, or damaged. For manual slack adjusters, the brake push rod should not move more than 1 inch with the brakes released when pulled by hand. This bus has automatic slack adjusters. Brake linings are mounted securely, not broken, cracked, or damaged. Brake linings would be checked through an open area on the back of the drum. Linings should not be worn dangerously thin with a minimum of 1/4 inch of thickness. Brake drums not cracked, dent, or have holes. There are no signs of contamination such as grease or oil, and they're not loose or missing any bolts. Tire thread is evenly worn, no recaps allowed on the front tire, and nothing stuck in the tire that can puncture it. Thread depth is no less than 4/32 of an inch. Inner and outer sidewalls have no cuts, bulges, or damages. To check for proper inflation requires the use of a tire pressure gauge. Proper air pressure should be 120 psi with cold tires. This is where I would find it on the tire, on the wall of the tire. Valve cap and stem present and secure with no damages. The rim, no weld repairs other than factory welds, and there are no dents or damages. Lug nuts are all present and secure, not cracked or damaged to the lug bolt holes. No signs of rust trails or shiny metal on the rim indicating looseness. Hub seal has no leaks. All bolts are present and secure, and the sight glass is used to check for proper fluid level. There are no audible air leaks from the brake chambers, brake hoses, lines, or air bellows. All engine compartment hoses, fittings, couplings, and clamps are secure with no damages. High pressure hoses have fittings. Low pressure hoses have clamps. There are no leaks, drips, or puddles in the area of the engine or on the ground of coolant, engine oil, transmission oil, power steering fluid, hydraulic fluid, or fuel. Next, I will check my alternator. It's securely mounted to the vehicle or the engine. No cracks, dents, or damages, and there are no missing nuts or bolts. It is belt driven. The belt should have no more than 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch tension. The belt has no signs of wear, cracks, frays, or loose fibers. Electrical connections are secure with no frays or bare wires. Newer alternators like this one have no oil line. Our power steering pump, which is located here under the alternator, mounted securely to the engine with no cracks, dents, or damages, no missing nuts or bolts. Hoses are not cracked, frayed, or kinked, and there are no leaks from the pump or its connecting hoses. Next, I'll be checking our water pump. Mounted securely to the engine, no cracks, dents, or damages, no missing nuts or bolts. It is gear driven. Hose is not cracked, frayed, or kinked, and there are no leaks from the pump or its connecting hoses. The oil dipstick is used to check for proper engine level, or oil level, Level should be between the full and refill mark, and there should be no signs of metal flakes or discoloration. The coolant tank is securely mounted to the vehicle. No missing nuts or bolts. It's not cracked, dent, or damaged. Hoses are not cracked, frayed, or kinked. There are no fluid leaks from the tank or its connecting hoses, and the sight glass is used to check for proper coolant level. The exhaust system, there are no signs of leaks such as rust or carbon soot to the exhaust area. I'm now going to close the rear engine compartment doors. Door and hinges are properly secured to the body with no missing nuts or bolts. Power steering fluid container, securely mounted to the vehicle, not cracked, dent, or damaged. No missing nuts or bolts. The hoses are not cracked, frayed, or kinked. There are no fluid leaks from the container or its connecting hoses. The dipstick or sight glass is used to check for proper fluid level. The proper level should be between the full and refill mark on the dipstick. The air compressor, which is mounted under the alternator, securely mounted to the engine with no cracks, dents, or damages, and no missing nuts or bolts. It is gear driven. Air lines are not cracked, frayed, or kinked, and there are no audible air leaks from the compressor or its connecting hoses. I'm now going to close the door. Door and hinges are properly secured to the body with no missing nuts or bolts. Exterior mirror brackets are mounted securely with no loose nuts or bolts, not damaged. Mirrors are clean, not cracked or damaged, and they are properly adjusted. Fuel tank. Cap and tank are secured with no cracks, dents, or damages. There are no leaks on the ground from the tank or fuel lines. Door secured. Hinges properly secured to the body with no missing nuts or bolts. Door side markers. Turn signals reflectors are amber in color. Rear reflector red in color. They are securely mounted, no missing or broken screws. Lenses clean, not cracked or missing, and they are all operational. Pointing to the frame, no signs of cracks, broken welds, holes, or other damage to the longitudinal frame members, cross member, box, and floor. Drive shaft is not bent or cracked or signs of looseness. Couplings are secure and free of foreign objects, and it is properly lubricated. Door and hinges properly secured to the body with no missing nuts or bolts. Torque arms located around here, mounted securely with no cracks, dents, or damages. Shock absorbers securely mounted to the frame and axle, not cracked, broken, missing, loose, damaged, or leaking hydraulic fluid. Bellows located in the same area, securely mounted to the frame and axle, not cracked, damaged, or leaking. Our splash guard is securely mounted with no missing or broken screws. The splash guard must cover at least half of the tire. Brake hoses and lines. Couplings, hoses, and lines are secured, not cracked, worn, or leaking. Brake chambers mounted securely, not cracked, dented, or leaking. Push rod and slack adjusters are mounted securely, not cracked, broken, missing, loose, or damaged. For manual slack adjusters, the brake push rod should not move more than 1 inch with brake released when pulled by hand. This bus has automatic slack adjusters. Brake linings are mounted securely, not broken, cracked, or damaged. Brake linings would be checked through an open area on the back of the drum. Linings should not be worn dangerously thin with a minimum of 1/4 inch of thickness. Brake drums not cracked, no cracks, dents, or holes, no signs of contamination such as grease or oil, and no loose or missing bolts. Major tire damage includes bulges, loose threads, and punctures or deep cuts that would expose the tire cord. These major tire damages must be reported immediately to the garage. Dual tires, evenly spaced without touching, no foreign objects wedged or stuck between the dual tires. Tire thread is evenly worn with no thread separation. Thread depth is no less than 2/32. Inner and outer sidewalls have no cuts, bulges, or damages. If recaps are present, there must be no tire separation between the tire cap and casing. Inflation. To check proper inflation requires the use of a tire pressure gauge. Proper air pressure should be 120 psi with cold tires. This is where I would locate that on the tire. Valve cap and stem present and secured with no damages. Rim. No welding repairs other than factory welds, no dents or damages, and vent holes should be properly aligned. Lug nuts, all present and secure, no cracks or damages to the lug bolt holes, no rust trails or shiny metal showing indicating looseness. Axle seal, all nuts are present and secure, and no leaks from the seal. There are no audible air leaks from the brake chambers, brake hoses, or air bellows. There are no leaks from my suspension system or tires because the bus is sitting level to the ground. I have my clearance lights, ID lights, brake lights, and tail lights, as well as reflectors that are red in color. My turn signals and four-way flashers are amber in color. My reverse lights and my license plate light are clear in color. They are all securely mounted, no missing or broken screws. Lenses are clean, not cracked or missing, and they are all operational. I'll be checking my exhaust system. The exhaust system has no signs of leaks such as rust or carbon soot in the exhaust area. Now I'm going to close the door. Door hinges are properly secured to the body with no missing nuts or bolts.